आले अगं. काय झालं? Did something happen at work?
I don't want to talk about it. Has it always been like this? I'm just 19 and still being treated differently. And look at Atharva. We are working in the same field, doing same amount of work, but why is it always I'm the one who's told to calm down? When I'm only trying to give my opinion. But when it comes to him, they all listen to him like he's some god.
Calm down. Come here. I'm listening.
This is not fair. I do not want to be treated differently only because I'm a girl. I do not understand the logic here. In spite of working in a field where I would be awarded and respected for the work I'm doing, and he's even getting paid more. But nothing like that happens here. I do not feel like working there anymore.
You're working under such a talented person. Isn't he working on a film? Can't you let this slide aside and try making the best out of your internship?
I know working under such a famous author is a privilege. But what about the respect that I get in my workplace? Will my work never matter? Will I always be ignored or be a second choice? Just merely because of my gender? There have been times when I thought to myself that, do I actually deserve this? This is 21st century and respect matters regardless of your age or gender.
I understand. Gender discrimination has been there for a very long time. But I feel that you should consider yourself lucky that you get to do this internship. I know it doesn't feel good to be paid less than your fellow male employees. But you know there was a time when women weren't allowed to work, let alone in the entertainment industry.
Women weren't allowed to work.
Well, women who worked outside their household weren't appreciated nor accepted by the society. They were looked down upon if they worked in the media field. Take for example the movie Raja Harishchandra. Only because women weren't allowed to do theatre, Dada Saheb Phalke had to use male actors for female characters.
Was it really that bad?
For a while, yes, but gradually, women did enter the movie business. Remarkable female actors like Nargis, Madhubala and Meena Kumari have done exceptional work. During their peak, they redefined the importance of women in films. Talking about this right now seems easy, but we have come far, haven't we? Women weren't allowed to practice basic human rights like education before. Overall literacy rate among men was a joke, so we can only imagine the literacy rate for women. Think, what do you know about women and the progress that we have made post-independence? Are there any personalities that you can think of?
There are so many people I can think of. Kiran Bedi, P.T. Usha, Surekha Yadav, Kalpana Chawla, and the list goes on.
But do you remember any women from the 1950s or the 60s? You don't, because women were not able to progress in a number of fields because of inaccessibility of primary education. They had to fight tooth and nail to achieve it. But finally, in 1966, Indira Gandhi became the first female Prime Minister of India. It was one of the most hopeful moments for women in India.
I, Indira Gandhi,
do solemnly affirm
that
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established.
True, but that was ages ago. Women have been progressing and making a place for themselves, and not only on the house frontier but also professionally.
This is happening right now, but earlier the situation was a whole lot different. Respect and freedom were some words associated with men only.
Oh, that's true. Women were considered a liability. Even when it comes to dowry, it feels as if she's a commodity fit for trade. And I just cannot understand how the world works when I think of it.
Exactly. Women were considered a responsibility, and her parents had to pay off a huge amount of money just to get her married. So if that's the case, why would they spend more money on her education and take more responsibility? Ata Anju Ajit's book ki. You know how much she has achieved a great deal over these years. But that didn't matter when her parents were looking for a suitor. You'd laugh at me if I tell you the small story about her marriage. You know Anju Ajji has a degree in English. When suitors came to meet her, they didn't care about her education and had high demands for dowry. This wasn't accepted by Anju Ajji's parents, and so the suitors were denied. Until our grandfather came in and they got married.
Isn't being educated or being married to someone who's educated a good thing?
No, not in the 70s, especially not when it came to women. And if the demands weren't fulfilled, the bride and her family were abused. People couldn't control and counter this. As the situation escalated quickly, people resorted to the means of aborting the girl child.
Activists discovered how large numbers of middle-class women flocked through these ultrasound centers. Signs would be put up on local trains, for instance, saying, pay 500 now, save 50,000 later, implying 500 was the cost of getting a test done and 50,000, of course, in those days is the cost of a dowry. As a consequence of a great deal of activism, first in the state of Maharashtra, in 1986, a ban was put in place against amniocentesis testing. Subsequently, in 1994, a national law was created, and then it included also issues around ultrasound.
I do not know what to say. Are we an entity to be put a price on? Do we have no human value? Are we not human enough to be treated with safety even before we are born?
I know. Aborting the baby without the consent of the mother is an inhuman thing to do. In India, it was never an issue of being an evil deed. It was because of gender disparity. Here, education was a key factor in changing illiteracy in India. The country as a whole took a part in a movement, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao.
Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao campaign was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi from Panipat in Haryana.
For a woman to make that decision is mentally, emotionally and a very physically impacting decision that she takes in her life.
कि हमारी नई सरकार ने पहले ही साल में बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ योजना की शुरुआत की है.
It focused on educating girls, making them independent and hence saving the girl child. We have faced a lot of difficulties over these years, but we have always managed to overcome them. Perseverance is the most precious trait to have. The women before us understood that, and here we are. The whole point of giving free education was so that they would send them to school, and problems like aborting the girl child and marrying her off very young would come to an end. You stay on and continue on your path. You'll eventually make it better for you and for whoever is behind you. You will be a part of the domino